Well, good evening and good day. This is Esoteric Soul Teachings, and we are going to videotape tonight, and hopefully this is something that is of interest to you. I'd like to start this video by asking a question. Who's in charge of my inner state? It's a good question. Who's in charge of my inner state? Ponder that for a moment, if you would. This was posed to me at the tender age of 28 by my teacher. And it was a study. And it was the study of the science of man, an inner man, essentially. What followed was a mystery school in a remote spot in the California desert. In our first classes, as we began, we were introduced to the conditioned state of man, or you might call the sleeping state. What was that? Well, the conditioned man was all of the conditioning from all the way to where we were born, to our parents, to our genetic reference, to our church, to all of the people that we deemed as an authority to us, and whatever they said was true, and we believed it. That's the process of conditioning. And slowly but surely, the pure essence of who we are begins to take a new form. And that new form is based on other people's decisions or things we decide, and they become a modus of operandi for us. We believe those things to be true, when in reality it's strictly the environment around us that told us who we were. That's quite confusing, isn't it? Because in the beginning, the very beginning, we agreed on some level to come here and forget who we were. So as we came to the birth canal and the whole process of being born woke us to a new reality, and that new reality was we had a purpose, and that purpose was to find non-disturbance at all costs, because we didn't want to be disturbed. So in agreeing to forget who we were, we began to function from that purpose. Anything that disturbed us mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually became something we avoided at all costs. I keep saying at all costs. So it was about escaping pain, definitely. And let's think about that for a second. What's the possibility that living on this planet with the weather conditions and with our little bodies getting cold or getting too hot, individuals that are around us who are not necessarily loving and kind to us, what's the possibilities of avoiding disturbance or avoiding any pain or suffering, avoid being ignored, avoid feeling like you're not enough? All of the things that start surfacing as we become hypersensitive to life. That's the conditioned state. Now, if we're lucky, we run across some very astute teachers. And in that process, those teachers begin to wake us up to a new purpose. So tonight I'm challenging each one of you to see what your real true purpose might be. Because trying to find non-disturbance is, quite frankly, an impossible task. You can keep trying, though, if you wish. It's where all of our drugs come from, anything we can do to sedate ourselves so we don't feel this, that, or the other. So good luck trying to find non-disturbance. So it seems it might be to our advantage to start looking for another purpose. So between now and maybe the next few weeks, it might be interesting to start exploring what your real purpose is and could be this lifetime for you. I'm going to speak for myself with this and say to you that non-disturbance doesn't run me. I don't like it, but it's not the thing that makes me who I am or how I feel or whatever's going on. It's just disturbance and it's just pain. And part of this process is waking up. So part of waking up is being in the now, being in the present moment. I've been experimenting lately with just feeling if there's something painful, just going down into that pain and just feeling that pain as deep as I can allow myself to feel it and see what happens. Because it's not in charge of me. Now, the other possibility that we were given in the very beginning of this school was that anytime you make anything important, you become anxious. So we started exploring the possibilities of what was really important. What possibly could be so important that it ran our lives or ruined our lives? Or if we had it, whatever this was, we'd be just fine. If we had enough money, we'd be just fine. So all of these mentalizing suggestions, conditioned suggestions that could possibly make us non-disturbed, became superficial. Because no matter what, if we're making something real important, our body's in a spin. Our mind is in a spin. And eventually, if you spin long enough, your physical body is going to feel less than optimum. So if we're looking at what's important, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there's anything that's that important. Everything comes to pass. It's a matter of walking through it. And again, we don't have to like it. It's not about, oh, I really like that. But what it is that it's an experience. And if we're awake in the present moment and we're choosing not to make it important, it's something that is on its way past us. You might say almost like traffic. But no, we're busy running out into the traffic and trying to stop the traffic instead of just letting the traffic go by. We take everything personal, of course. It's just the nature of the beast or the nature of conditioned man. Everything's about us, of course, which is another conditioned illusion. Because really nothing, if something's going on, it really isn't with someone else. It really isn't about us. It's their experience. But no, we jump on the bandwagon and we decide to spin with it. Now, another piece of this is the vibrational frequency of the mood we're in and how that affects how we feel mentally, physically, and emotionally. These were all things we were taught based on what was illusion and what was real. And the only thing that's really real is now, in this moment. And that we can choose any mood we want. We were given that gift as human beings. I mean, animals can't do that. Not really. We're the only ones that can choose our mood and maintain a vibrational frequency if we so choose. So I learned that it was very much to my advantage to keep my mood up because I felt better physically. It affected my world around me in a way that was more conducive to how I felt. And so I learned the practice of sustaining a mood. And I could decide what that mood is. One of the strongest moods that I've found over a period of years working with it is gratitude. There is something about gratitude where we recognize the good that's coming to us. It doesn't matter, there's been 5 things come down the road that have been extremely uncomfortable, cost us money, and we didn't particularly like the way it turned out. But there's just as many things that have occurred that have felt lucky almost. I dropped my phone and had a beep on my phone. I thought, okay, I'm going to have to buy a new phone. Well, guess what? My insurance just came over, put a new face on my phone for $295, I think. And I don't have to buy a new phone, and I've got a new face. I think that's pretty lucky. It's pretty cool. So these mixed things that come into us and come around us are the things we can focus on and be grateful for. And just be grateful that we're here and that we have the focus to decide what's important or what isn't important, or that we can decide that nothing's important except just being present in the moment and being grateful that we're here. So these early tools that we were given, strangely enough, were repeated and repeated and repeated because we couldn't quite get it. We couldn't quite get that it was that simple. So I'm presenting in this video at least the first phase of what we were taught, the difference between the conditioned mind, the sleep state, which is the same thing as a conditioned mind, and the awake state. And I can add one more ingredient that might be helpful, and that is in the awake state, there's movement and creativity. There is emotion towards creating a better self and a better world. At least that's my observation. When we're asleep, we feel stuck, irritated, frustrated, and we're busy believing all kinds of stories that just aren't true. I asked a friend, I said, what would you like to hear on the video? And she was very clear. She says, I just want to hear about the fact that if I listen to my head and all the chatter and all the stories in my head, I'm going to not feel good. Life isn't going to feel good to me. That the last thing you want to do is listen to all those thoughts. So hopefully at some point here, there's going to be a series that I'm going to present that goes down to the absolute details as to what that looks like to be conscious, to be present, and to practice. Because in practicing, eventually it becomes your life. It becomes who you are. So we're looking at staying awake, be in the now. We're looking at, if we can, do the best you can. Nothing's really that important. I mean, it's going to pass. And so don't spin on it. Don't start creating stories about it. Keep your mood up. One of the best ways is gratitude. Find a way to do gratitude and make that your focus. So it's very fun tonight because my teacher, Dr. Robert Gibson, who's no longer with us, did a whole bunch of sayings that he wanted to help his students remember some of the work that we were doing. So I have my little gold box out here, and I'm going to pull from the gold box one of his cards. And here we are. It is not what has happened to us, nor not what has been done to us, but what we decided about those things. And for those decisions, we are responsible. Ooh, that's very good. I'm going to put this over here. Let's see. This side's probably the best. I'll say it one more time because it's really rich. It is not what has happened to us, nor what has been done to us, but what we decided about these things. And for those decisions, we are responsible. Wow, I really like that one. Excellent. Thank you, dear beloved teacher, for your consciousness. The next thing I want to do is I want to bring in one of my favorite stone combinations, let's call it. This is chrysocolla and rubellite. So within the chrysocolla there are ruby mixed in with these stone itself, and I really love it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. So this stone resonates with the heart, and it also resonates with high heart, which the Buddhists talk about a lot in some of the other teachings, that high heart represents the purity of oneness with Christ and oneness with agape, Christ-like love, where we really understand that everybody's doing the best they can based on the life they have in the moment. And if our hearts can resonate to that instead of telling us stories about what's taking place and what somebody has done to us, it's a very powerful stone to have around. I really like carrying this stone and having it with me because it's so beautiful. And remembering that the vibrations that come from our heart have a whole different language. And that best we start learning the language of the heart, because it's more accurate than listening to the conditioning and the stories in our head. And I'm not saying we don't think, okay? I'm saying that we don't let the head run the show, be in charge, because it will take us in all kinds of outrageous places if we do. That if you can drop down into your heart chakra, and into the high heart, you'll hear a different story. So you might want to work on this and work with this. And if so, my blessings are with you as we do that. There's a whole energy that is presented in heart energy. Heart energy is that energy which understands from another level of consciousness. It understands that the frequency of love can change everything. It can nullify pain. It can make us humble. Humility. I was reading about humility this week and what that feels like. Humility is that place where we just really are okay with not knowing what's happening. And we still continue to function. We just know that something's changed. And that's okay. So I'm interested in talking to anyone who wants to play in the heart arena. So give me a call and let's do that. Let's explore your heart's desires, what you really want. And we'll do more on the primary teachings of, you might say, conscious man or awake man instead of sleeping man. So much of our world today is reactive and sound asleep. It's we have a strong example of that with the leader in Russia having a reaction, and his reaction and what it's created and what it's caused, because he got upset and made some decisions about things. So let's make good decisions. And if there's anything that you want to talk about, or any part of the consciousness realm of looking at life from a responsible, conscious way, I'd love to talk to you about that. So you have all the information. It's on the channel, and you can give me a call. So we're going to close for tonight, because this is sort of it's not sort of, it's an introduction to a very powerful way of looking at life. So stay awake and pay attention. And good night. It's been wonderful being with you. Talk to you later.